Mont, you legend. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you, Ethan?
Good, nice to see you. This morning we're with legend Kathleen Kinmont. You know her work from everything from Halloween to Bride of Re-Animator. Actually, her first job was on the first day of her existence on the Joey Bishop show. More on that in a minute. But it's always a better morning when Kathleen is part of it. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Ethan. Thank you for that lovely intro. Appreciate it.
Hey, I
Yeah.
well, I should point out you're actually quite the hero. You teamed up with a bunch of basically larger than life pirates and did a signing for the Red Cross. We did it together. You came out there to help the people. So we have a sense of what you're about, and you will be a part of Combat Radio's Christmas Carol for a Cure, November 21st at the Saban Theater in Beverly Hills with your buddy, the Terminator.
Christina Loken. Yeah.
Holiday revelers, good evening and welcome to a Combat Radio Christmas Carol.
Merry Christmas to you, Uncle.
Keep walking.
Are you the spirit who's coming?
No, I work for Amazon.
I'm back.
I know I'm not supposed to talk or anything.
He wants to have dinner with us.
Look, he must be off his meds. Tell him to go away.
We get it. We get it.
Way to kill my buzz.
Mine too. I mean, if I used.
What?
Make it 3.
Don't push it, kid. Don't push it.
You're right, 2 sounds good.
How much are we talking about? Because I put up with a lot of shit.
Hey, there are kids in the audience. God damn it. Take a party.
We're so excited, and we are so honored to be asked to do this and to give back to the community that we love here in Los Angeles, and of course the kids
Yeah,
and
yeah.
holidays. And we're both just totally thrilled. We're kind of coming unglued together.
You guys are a good fit, especially with the crew that's been doing it, because I heard somebody at a memorial this weekend explain it to somebody there as it being like Saturday Night Live in one day,
Oh,
where
nice.
everyone kind of comes down, they get the costume fitting if they want it, they go through the script, they maybe do a rehearsal, do whatever else they need to do. And this year it's a lot of the guys coming back, Ron Perlman, Paul Reiser, Robert Carradine's in it this time around from Revenge of the Nerds. Adrian Paul, one of our buddies. So it's going to be fun, and it couldn't be better. Look, we need great personalities to do it because of what's at stake. And what's cool about it is there's no barrier between the cast and the kids. Like after the show, everyone's in there. So the kids with, whatever they're dealing with get a chance to get on the red carpet, sometimes in their wheelchairs or whatever it may be. And they get a chance to remember how special they are. So it's always good to have another legend. More on that in a minute. First credit was the Joey Bishop show. You were 1 day old, correct?
I maybe, yeah, maybe a day, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it might have been, yeah, that day, because when I watched that scene, my mom never lifts her head off the pillow, which tells me that she was still probably pretty drugged up when they
Yeah.
did that. I think they set up the room in the hospital, brought in one camera because it's like a one shot, or maybe they do have a little bit of over the shoulder, maybe 2 cameras they brought in. Anyway, it just, to me, it feels like, whoa, this was really fresh.
Yeah. And,
Fresh
and
new.
Bishop wasn't really one to care about everyone else's sort of set of circumstances, right? He's like, she'll be fine.
That's
It's a
right.
camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the baby, and you cut, is she ready? Is she got the goop off? Yeah, bring
Yeah.
her up.
Yeah, bring her out. Let's do this. Let's do this now. But that's a good way to start a career. And then after that, by the way, Bishop had the best joke about Maryland. Did your mom tell you this when he was
No.
performing in Vegas? He's performing in Vegas, and like a few minutes into his set, Marilyn Monroe walks in late and like sucks all the energy out of the room. So Bishop's one response from the mic was, "Hey, I thought I told you to wait in the car." All right, it's pretty funny. Okay, you got to admit it's pretty clever and it's pretty funny, especially if everyone knows when Marilyn entered a room, right? Or everyone knew when Marilyn anyway. So what was the second credit? Like after when you decided you're going through school and you're going to pursue this, like how do you get out there? Did you get out there and like meet a manager or get someone to help get this going for you?
I got my mom's agent, Purvis Atkins, and I just remember, I can't remember the other guy's name, but they were wonderful. They were her agents. And at 18, I came in and they said, so Kathleen Smith sounds a lot like Kate Smith and Kathy Smith, and you're going to get confused because they're both blondes. We're going to need to change that right now. So that was like the first conversation. And I said, okay. And they said, well, what's your middle name? I said, Kinmont. And they said, perfect, Kathleen Kinmont, that's that. So they started sending me out as Kathleen Kinmont, and a couple weeks later, I booked Hard Bodies.
Wait, it only took a couple of weeks to land a paying gig?
There were hardly anybody. I mean, the business back in '83, that was a smaller business.
Yeah.
It really was. It was not, I don't think that there were as many, not nearly as many. I mean, it's quadrupled, I don't know, maybe multiplied by 10. Who knows?
So,
it was pretty quick, yeah.
So walk me through this. You audition and your team gets the call.
I get my agent gets the call. I mean, look, it was bathing suit on roller skates. So maybe that did kind of narrow the playing field. Which is funny because my mom, when she was in Vegas, they did this one bit with the chorus line with a whip with girls on skates.
Yeah.
And they would just do this big, wow, wow, wow. And then the last person at the end would just go like flying across the stage. And that was her, my mom. And then once she got wedged right underneath, her one foot went underneath the bar where they have the end of the stage where they have a little bar with lights coming up. And her foot just got kind of jammed in there, and she was just kind of stuck and had to take her skate off. And so I knew that talent already deep in my bones. So I had to do a roller skating audition in my bathing suit. So I was like, I got this.
Yeah, boom, handled. And so once you take care of business, do they give you an offer and say it's so many days, or is it one day, or?
I worked on that as an actor for, I think, 3 days.
Okay.
Because I was having such a great time and everybody enjoyed my personality. They brought me back for main titles. So I got another couple of days for that, and that was fun. So I'm in the main title sequence, and yeah, it was great. They had film crew signs that were like UCLA film crew, student film. And so they were ripping off all these locations down in Venice and Malibu. And then Paramount bought the movie. So it got a national distribution. And it was just one of those fluky, awesome things that, first movie, and there's a billboard on Sunset. And it was just kind of, off to the races a little bit.
Did you go to the theater to see yourself?
Of course.
And? Gold.
After they're done painting, right?
It's gold. So this is obviously one of those things where you're hoping for a sequel, Hard Bodies 2 or whatever. But
they did make, and I was not excited. I know.
The nerve. Well, that's probably why nobody's ever heard of the sequel. But back to this. So after that, you're now paid. I mean, that's the goal, right? The first measure of success is getting paid to do it on some level.
Certainly. So, and it made me like, oh, I'm not going to Santa Monica City College. That sounds like so far away from the valley, and I'll be having to drive and yuck. No.
Yeah.
So kind of kiboshed my whole college career. I didn't really have any college dreams. So
Right, right.
I really knew what I wanted to do. And the class that I was in, that James Best theater class, it was all working for camera. So it wasn't like theater. It was
Yeah.
theater. You know, you work with the microphone.
Right.
The movements are very subtle. You learn how to sit down in a chair for camera and get up out of a chair for, you learn how to walk into a room. I mean, it was a lot of like, this was specific for this town, which back in the 80s was amazing and booming, and all the work was here. All of the studios were here. All of the sunshine was here. All of the actors were here. People from New York came to LA to work. People that from all over the planet came to Hollywood to follow their acting dreams. And in this last 40 years, it's been really radical how much it's changed. And understandably so, given this town has just gotten beyond expensive and the tax incentives have not caught up to where they are in other places of the country and outside of the country.
Yeah.
So it's understandable. It's sad because we have, it's not just the studios that are half empty right now, or probably more. It's the dry cleaners, the restaurants, everybody that feeds off of this factory has. And that's why we've seen such a mass exodus, not only of the actors, but of others, the wardrobes, the lighting people.
Well, you're also a producer, so that's why a lot of this registers.
Mm-hmm.
And you see a lot of things. You read in between the lines pretty well. And I'm hoping there is an initiative to try to bring filming back within the framework of the state Senate. But when you leave things to a politician, anything can happen. So we'll hope for the best and prepare for whatever comes next. But as you're working your way into your career back in the beginning versus now, when everything seems to be a firefight, and also it seems like the working conditions in some ways were better back then. Is that true?
Well, they certainly paid a lot more. Yeah.
Right.
The union job was very standard. Top of show was a big deal. Anytime you flew out for anything, it was always first class, 2 tickets. Put you up per diem. That was per diem, the per diem that I used to get is basically SAG ultra low budget for a day rate now.
Yeah.
So yeah, the standard has shifted. I don't know how much we've been truly protected, but at least we still have a union.
Yeah.
I'm like more of like the cup isn't half full or half empty. I'm just like, oh, thank God, I still have a cup. I mean, that's really where I come from. And I was born and raised in this business. I mean, you would think like the entitlement would be way, more present, but I don't feel entitled at all. Mm-hmm. I feel grateful. My younger brother has worked in the studios for a long time. He was the studio operations director over at Warner Brothers for a while. We talked about this.
Oh, right. We talked about him.
Yeah. John Smitty Smith is my brother, and now he's over at Fox. So he's still very much enmeshed in what's actually happening on the front lines of town. And so I do get information from him, and like you, I do feel hopeful. And you said something that is really important. We prepare for what's about to happen. So preparing for me is staying busy, creative, and my theory, and it's not even really a theory, it's really the truth. Anytime a town goes or a city goes under, look at Detroit. We'll just use that as a perfect example because that was such a booming city. it's the artists that come in and help revive that place.
That's true.
So the artists are already here, whether they're born here or they're transplants from somewhere else. I thank God for every single one of them because they are the ones that are going to keep this city afloat, and there will be a resurgence, and everything is cyclical. So the sunshine hasn't stopped here in this state. The studios have not been turned into condos. They're still ready. So I feel like, yeah, given all the work that I did back in the 80s and into the 90s when things were just like, woo, super, everybody's got, a 5 series going. Like, look at Stu Siegel down in San Diego. He had his whole, like, it's his own personal studio. PM Entertainment, who I did multiple films for. The independent contractor, I think, in LA is really going to be gold because there's still gold in these hills. People are still here and they're more than ready to work. So that's my prophecy.
Yeah, and that is everyone's therapy session of the moment who's feeling desperate or not sure. I mean, my wife can weigh in on this quite a bit too because she was at Warner Brothers, but on the post side. So she had a different sort of sense. And she started at MGM, so she saw them start to downsize that lot and could feel like the encroachment of what some would say progress and others would say a sense of doom, like the shadow of the Star Destroyer going over you. But, like you, her union at the end of the day was a lot better than no union. And we actually have a lot to thank them for now because me working on the feature development side, there was no union. In fact, if you even contemplated unionizing, and this was true for post-production supervisors too, Mark Marshall, who was the post-production supervisor on Harry Potter, and I talk about this because he retired and didn't have a retirement other than what he planned for. And I was like, God, you guys should have gone union. He's like, we couldn't. Warner Brothers had a policy they would not hire any of us if we even talked about it or suggested it. So there's been some obstacles, but let's just agree that the future can be bright. Anyway, so back to the action at hand. So you're killing it with credit number 1. You get 3 days. That unionized you. Was that a union project or no?
Yes.
So you're in the union.
Yeah.
And now, and that in itself is like a victory, right? You're now in the union. You've been paid to do all of a sudden, everything looks like it's on track. What's the next big move for you after that film?
A job at Chin Chin on Sunset.
Damn it. And I know that Chin Chin. I worked right up the street at House of Blues. That's where we all ended up, on Sunset somewhere. Some in better places than others. But that's good. So that keeps you grounded, right?
Right.
Are you recognized at that job for the previous movie?
No, probably not. I mean, but I'm getting hit on, so, but that's okay.
Yeah. You didn't have to tell us that part of it, Kathleen. You didn't. We all know. Anyway, so you're working a day job.
Cell phone at Chin Chin on Sunset in the 80s. This guy came in with like a brick. It was out of like 007 meets Maxwell Smart.
Right. And was it real or was it from the prop department someplace?
No, it was real. It was real. And it came with a suitcase and everything. It had a suitcase attached to it. And he's like, do you want to make a phone call? And I was like, sure. Because it was on the sidewalk. Yeah. It was, want to call? I'm like, my dad. So I called my
Good.
Dad, this thing. I don't know what it is, but it's a phone, and I'm talking to you on the sidewalk, and it's so cool. Yeah.
That's the way to do it. And of course, your dad's like, where are you? I'm like, well, I'm down here on Sunset. He's like, I'm coming to pick you up right away. And you hand the guy his cell phone back and say, my dad's coming to get me. I'll see you later. Whatever. Anyway.
Skills.
What's that?
He's got special skills.
Yes. Liam Neeson. So you're working now, like, what do you look back on? And in this yet unwritten biography, I should have been nicer to Tarantino. What's the next significant bullet point where you start to work your way forward? Like, what's the first thing? Like, did you have a moment where you're like, oh man, I'm in the union and now I got to keep my status and or did it kind of keep progressing up, or did you have moments of like, God, it's not working out?
That didn't come until later, until after I had a kid. I think that I always was just very, because I played a lot of sports. I think I knew what it meant to like win some and lose some.
Right.
But for me, it was just like go, go, go to this appointment, that audition, commercial, modeling, acting. I mean, I kind of had so many moments of throwing something at the wall that it was just like, oh, okay, now I got this job, or now I got this job. And they kind of varied from commercials to print to acting. And I just really felt like I was always busy. And, Halloween 4 was a great job.
10 years ago, on the night of October 31st, a small Midwestern town fell victim to an escaped killer. Under the cover of darkness, he carried out the most horrifying mass murder on record. 16 people in cold blood. Ever since that night, no one has forgotten his name. And Halloween has never been the same. Now, Michael Myers has come home. He has returned for one more night of unholy terror.
Michael! Somebody help me!
He's here to kill that little girl and anybody who gets in his way.
Oh, God!
Who's gonna be next?
Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.
Maybe nobody knows how to stop him.
It was a lot of fun because we were all kids, basically, and we had the great Donald Pleasance, who made us feel like we were actors, because there was such a sense of royalty on the set when he was there, not just because of the British accent, but because we all knew he was from the first Halloween, and we were in a franchise thing, and we didn't, really understand the scope of it, but we knew that the movie would get seen. So we were all really, having a great time, but also really pulling for each other and super focused and getting into the world of that film, which was frightening.
Some kids only know Donald Pleasance from those movies, but they forget that, it's The Great Escape and THX 1138 and A Breed Apart, and there was all the original 1984, like in black and white. Like, the guy had really cut his teeth, and Halloween, the stories about how he got into Halloween are infamous, but they talk about his level of professionalism. Like, do you have a couple of Donald Pleasant moments where you around him enough to sense what kind of human being he was?
Yes. Well, he was very relaxed, that's for sure. He had a nice toasty red cup going, which I thought was interesting because when anybody has any alcohol on the set, certainly that doesn't happen. I mean, well, I haven't seen it happen very much in later years, but it was like, oh, he was warm. He was a warm person. It made him relaxed, or I don't know, or just made him warm because we filmed a lot at night, and it was chilly. It was Salt Lake, Utah, and it was during the winter months. I just thought like, oh, and he was pleasant. It's such a cliche, but he really was. He lived up to that. I asked him acting questions. He was very warm about, I don't even really remember what I asked him about, but he was easy to talk to. I was also aware of like giving him his space too, but he seemed pretty much like probably enamored of the fact that we were all just kids and we all had a real respect for him and we were all, giving him the admiration that he deserved and had earned, but also that he was really appreciative of as well. So
Yeah.
I didn't get to have any scenes with him, but I did get to have moments on set with him, which were really cool.
Well, the rumor was that he was pushing for a rewrite to include a scene, but whatever. It was what it was ultimately. I mean, the director of that stepson is actually Jason Richter, who was in the Free Willy franchise with us at Warner Brothers. So there's like a kind of a connection all along, but he was seen as the guy, and this was seen as the movie that was going to kind of bring the franchise back from like the murky depths of obscurity or wherever it was drifting because of the way the third one went in the eyes of the audience. But it's so Pleasant strikes me as an actor who's glad he gets the call. You know what I mean? That's how he like, you want me, and the offer is I'm looking forward to seeing you in Guatemala on Tuesday. That's kind of how he, probably had survived tough times in his life to really kind of value the station he had worked his way into. Is sort of how and he did a few after that, right? Didn't he? He kind of rode with it for a bit. And yeah, so you get a chance to do this. You get a chance to actually open it up with one of the best lines ever.
All right, $10. Let's see it.
Fuck off, Wade.
You get your moments of, telling people to fuck off and all those things. And then the movie's wrapped. And did you sense like this is going to be a significant thing here? Or were you just back to work the next week?
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, it's so hard to bask in anything in this town because, like, the second you wrap something, people are like, "So what's next?" You're like, "Oh, God, I hate that question."
I know, and I keep asking it too in this show. I'm sorry.
I know it's good, but it's like you start to get used to it. You start to go like, "Okay, well, yeah, of course I'm auditioning while I'm working on a film. Of course I'm working on something else while I'm actually, getting my makeup on for this thing." It's just kind of, that's the way it is. You try to stay focused for one thing, but your mind is always looking towards the next horizon. But with Halloween, I knew that it was going to be a big film because when I actually got to go see the movie in the theater, I went with my older brother, Matt, who was hilarious, and another writing partner of mine. And we were sitting behind these two guys, and in that moment at the fireplace with Sasha, with Brady, and I'm like taking off my bra, and the one guy goes to his friend, he goes, "Well, that was worth the $7.50 right there."
That's right.
The price of the ticket, but
yeah,
I was like, "Wow, we have a winner," and that was halfway through the film. They hadn't even seen my death scene yet, which is one of the most unique ways to die.
I thought you might like some coffee. It's pretty boring out here. Wish they'd fix the power. At least we'd have some MTV while we wait for the cavalry.
Things like that where people get impaled in like the Vikings series.
Yeah.
But in modern day times, the impaling is not really as it's not as popular as it used to be back in medieval days, I guess. But
Well,
so
that's become some of the science too, these movies, right? Like that's become part of the how to upstage the death. But that's the title of that chapter in the book. We know what the title of the actual book is, but that chapter's title is Worth the Price of Admission, which is good. I mean, it's like, how long was that? A long shoot? Was that like 3 weeks, a month? It seemed like yeah. And it does seem like people will try to apply like their level of like their value scale to like what's next. That question does seem to be one where people are trying to navigate what your trajectory is. But that was a pretty significant movie, and I remember like that people being excited about that because that one had a sense of genuine excitement because of the return of the Michael Myers character, and so people are like back into it, and that was good. That's a good thing to be a part of. I mean, they're all good to be a part of. Even whatever number they're on now, it's like that's a great call to get. It's like we know how the business works, but you're working through things and you're trying to figure life out beyond that. Like, do you have looking back, do you have a couple of key moments where you're like, oh, that was a good job, or some unexpected sort of production story that went with what you did, or as far as what your mother went through that like sticks with you?
Well, in Halloween 4, and you mentioned it, the very first line that I have, "fuck off."
Yeah.
That it is cool. And it was scripted, Get Lost, Wade, which is what we filmed first. And that was fine. And then the director, Dwight Little, came up to me and said, "Hey, for shits and giggles, would you mind throwing in this other alternate?" I'm like, "Okay, well, what is it?" He goes, "Fuck off, Wade." I said, "Okay, I need to laugh for like 1 solid minute, just get the nervous giggles out."
Yeah.
Sure, I'll do it. So we did it, and the crew didn't know the Wade character, whose name was really Wade. He was a local hire, nice young kid who is immortalized with this. And he didn't know. Nobody knew except me and the director. I did it once, and they kept it. So in answer to your question, like for me as an actor, because I didn't know what they were going to use for the cut. I saw it on the film that first time that I went to go see the movie, and everybody lost it in the theater. They thought it was so funny because it's such a massive smackdown. The kid doesn't even get to take a breath before I'm just totally annihilating him. And for an actor at my age at that time, it was so freeing to know that you can totally play within this environment of big money and the set and people. So if you have something else that maybe, I don't know, it just freed me up creatively. I was like, oh wow, maybe I could even come to the writer, to the director and have a better line. And like, so I've done that. And some get used, some don't. Win some, who cares? At least you're playing and you're part of the creative process in another way of just like, instead of just showing up and, oh, where do you want me to stand? What do you want me to say? Okay, this is what you want me to wear. All of those things where like, then I really was able to be like, oh, this is such a collaborative playground. I didn't need to feel like I was ever always had to stay in one box and just like show up, be the actor, do what you're told, da da da. No, I get to be the artist and improvise if they're cool with it, and if not. And I've done like some short films that like the entire thing is improvised, and they just give you a scenario and an emotion, and run with it, play. So I love that aspect, and it's helped me as a writer too. Like just be like, yeah, some things work, some things don't. Have fun.
Right. Sometimes that is the recipe, right? The magic can be lightning in a bottle. But, Wade's indebted to you because he's probably on the convention circuit earning a retirement from just that 8x10.
He deserves it.
He deserves it. And I'm surprised that line isn't sampled in a hip hop song. Maybe it has been.
Oh, that's good.
but it probably should be. Exactly. Exactly. I remember I'm amazed you're in the movie because I saw that in high school, and as we've established, you're much younger than me. But remember seeing that, going like, this is the ideal gig for a young person. Like, you are in like an iconic franchise forever. It ain't going anywhere, and that's like, for me, I recognize that very early on, in the entertainment business too. That's gold when you land that. And I mean, it's happened to you a few times. Bride of Re-Animator, and by the way, is that with Jeffrey Combs? Jeffrey Combs is the guy in that, right?
Yes.
Good. Now, how was he to work with?
Oh, what an asshole!
Really?
Did anybody ever say that? No.
Oh, people say that all the time, and then ask me to cut it. But
do it because we're talking about improv. No, right. He's the sweetest asshole. No, he's the nicest guy. He's a brilliant actor, and so is Bruce Abbott. They're both like classically Shakespearean trained. Mm-hmm. And so their level of commitment and backstory and just passion for the art was so much fun. And I mean, it helped me because they were so good, they were able to relax, and it made me like be able to have a good time in the situation that I was in, and that, intense bodysuit, and being marbleized everywhere else that I didn't have prosthetic pieces on my body. So it was a good 8 hours of me being in the makeup chair before anybody else even arrived to set.
What?
So then they built a lean-to for me so I could take a break and sit on a little bike seat, which was very reminiscent of the way they did the trick for the Halloween for stunt. So bike seats have been my thing. And I got this just amazing experience with the K&B Effects group and the brilliance of Jeffrey Combs and Bruce Abbott, who couldn't have been more loving and fun. And, Brian Usna and his great direction, and the wonderful artistic director of photography and the lighting team. And I just felt incredibly supported in something that, when I went and auditioned for that, I had never seen the Re-Animator. I went back a few times to land the role. And so I got the part, and they gave me a VHS. They're like, here you go, you got the part, but watch the Re-Animator because this is the sequel, and you'll get to see what this is all about. And I went home, and I was married to Lorenzo at the time, and we popped it in, and the VHS, and it was mind-blowing. I just couldn't believe that I had signed on for something like this, and I was a little scared. But
when you say mind-blowing, like, do you think like this is a good situation, or this is like career, like, damaging? What did you think? Like, when you say mind-blowing can be interpreted many different ways, And you're with your husband, who's probably got some sense of wants to like get an opinion in on this, right?
I mean, he was just like, you're going to nail this. You're going to be so great at this. This is a creature. Like, how many opportunities does a girl who just roller skated down Venice Beach gets to play a complete monster?
Yeah.
So in that sense, I thought, okay, well, great. This is going to be such a range. Cool. And then at the other part, I was like, but this is just so, it wasn't really, I mean, my movies that I watch, Ethan, are like When Harry Met Sally, Terms of Endearment,
Yeah, this is a different gear. Yeah.
So I was just like, wow.
Would the heartburn crowd please exit the theater for the next screening? All right, I get it. Yeah.
I'm not a horror buff. I don't seek those films out as forms of entertainment for myself, but I have great respect for the art and the fans that love them, because I understand what what that person is going for emotionally in a way to, to look fear in the face and go like, you have no hold on me. I know this is so but for me, I'm just too sensitive. I'm like, no, I'm scared of you, I have too much sensitivity for that. I mean, maybe I could desensitize myself more, but I don't feel the need. I'd rather be a super scaredy cat. And, but I do watch crime drama. I like that crime drama. The real crime drama is frightening to me.
Yes.
Anyway,
very.
Jeffrey Combs, Bruce Abbott, that whole experience, K&B, that was a fantastic moment. I loved that movie, and I still do. I'm so proud of Bride of Re-Animator.
I should point out that actually you signed some posters for us that are up at a charity auction now.
Oh.
For children battling NMOSD in the Children's Hospital, actually, from our signing. And I think coming up is you were nice enough to sign a Bride of Re-Animator poster. I think we have Halloween 4 up now, which who wouldn't want that? Come on. Who would not want that?
Yeah.
And Bride of Re-Animator. So a couple of classics. But you've done so many awesome things since. You're doing A Christmas Carol November 20. You're on Wilshire Boulevard in lights. Christmas Carol, November 21st. It's only 6 months out. And we're doing it with your buddy from Terminator 3, Kristanna Loken. Now, when did you first work with her? Because I want to get to this Dodger Stadium moment.
Kristanna and I met in Florida on Mortal Kombat, the TV series. She was in Orlando at the Universal Studios, I guess, or Disney, one of those studios. What's crazy is that she was in San Diego at the same time I was shooting Renegade.
Really?
On a Stu Siegel show that she played, I think it's called Pensacola. And my younger brother, Johnny, who ended up in the studios, he was like second on second unit. And so he did all those different shows, second unit. And he was like, oh, I met this girl. She kind of reminds me a little bit of you. And I thought, oh, that's nice. What's your name? And I told her name. I never met her. She was just down there for 1 year. And we just kind of kept missing each other at the ADR studio or whatever. But that was when Stu had like 3 or 4 shows going down there, Silk Stockings, Renegades. And oddly enough, I get cast as her mentor on this show for the final 2 episodes. The series only went for 1 year. So it was the last 2 episodes. So we worked together for 2 weeks and realized, oh my God, we were down at the same time. And she had been over to my brother's house for Super Bowl Sunday. So it was inevitable that we were supposed to meet. And she really is a twin flame. We have a bond, a sisterhood that is, it's just such a gift. And we've worked multiple times together. When she came back into LA, I helped her get a real estate agent. She found a place. And then she was like, God, I really need some work. And I'm like, well, I just got cast in this movie Gangland, and they're looking for someone to play my sister. You get raped. And she's like, I'm in. And I was like, okay.
But you got to love that, though. You got to love that attitude, right? I mean.
Yeah, so good. And then, she was like down and out, and then boom, she gets T3.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day she calls me, and I was there when she gets the part, and I was like just watching her whole life change. And then she calls me a couple of weeks later. She's like, God, I'm at the studio, and they're having a really hard time finding a body double for me to do all my stand-in work and do some body doubling. And she goes, and I just keep thinking about you and how much fun we would have. And she goes, would you even consider it? And I said,
yeah.
So I went in, I had to audition for the DP. And then, of course she comes in and gives me a big hug, and they see us together, and they see that she's just so happy because it's T3. Like any other franchise, everybody's already worked together. So there's already friendships that have formed, and Kristanna the odd man out. And I think that they saw like, oh, this would be like her little human emotional support buddy. So who knows how to work with camera, and who knows how to show up, and who knows how to, to do this kind of thing, and is athletic and physical. So it was 6 months. It was a long, long job.
Look, I got a question from the classroom floor here. Is that you doing the scene in Beverly Hills, walking across the street?
No, that's Kristana. She did
Okay.
all
How'd you like working with Arnold? Because I worked with him, and I actually liked working with him.
What an ass. Just thinking everybody. What an asshole.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, come on. Like, you shouldn't think bad about him. He's wonderful. I mean, the guy has got such presence. At that time, he was angling for governorship.
Yeah.
So he had brought President Clinton onto set, and that was a pretty big deal. So that was probably like the big standout for me on shoot. That was a day where they both came out of his trailer, and Clinton, because I was dressed like Kristana, because we were always dressed the same. I think he thought that I was the Terminator. So he just kind of came right over into being he's like, hello, how do you do? I was like, oh.
Oh, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. But there you go. So you guys, both you and Kristana, are instantly likable. So that's you can see why it's a good fit. We interviewed her, Adrian Paul, when I was producing his show, and it's so funny because when I sent her the invite for A Christmas Carol, after you were in, I said, what would probably even make this better for Kathleen is if we got Kristana to do it, and they can do it together. And so I sent her an email and said, do you want to do this? And she goes, yeah, if I'm not working, I'm good to go. And I said, and I sent her another response, and I said, okay, so I'm putting you down. You're good then. And she sends me another email saying, yeah, I thought I already confirmed. And I sent her a response saying, you did, but I was a little hungover and I didn't want to assume anything. And I get this response back, which is just an emoji of somebody crying while they're laughing. I don't know. But you can get there is a lot to that, making the whole situation fun for not just the players, but everyone involved, So there's a lot to that. And you're a producer, my wife and kid and I produce this thing. And there's, there is something to be said for chemistry and having a fun side of things. So I think it's going to be good when you guys take the stage together, and I think people are going to laugh out loud. But you're working your way through Terminator 3, which was gold. That was another moment, too. That was another sort of pivotal moment because it was kind of the end. It was like the backstory, right? Essentially, to the apocalypse that everyone had been waiting to see. They screened it. I had to see it in screening room 12 at Warner Brothers before it came out. I can't remember the reason we had to watch it. It was the first time Warner Brothers was involved in the franchise, and I was working on Collateral Damage at the time. And I remember screening it, and I can't remember the reason, but I remember thinking, I'm actually kind of impressed since it's a third movie. It's usually not so much, but that was pretty effective. It was inventive and it was fun. And, what more do you need? So looking back at that, obviously, that's when you're thinking, now I am definitely on the right track. Bill Clinton thinks I'm the Terminator. I'm hanging out with my friend. Do you have a Bill Clinton story that maybe no one else knows that you can reveal here? Do you want to, maybe something we should edit out?
No, I don't, but I have a friend who does.
Oh yeah? We should get your friend on to tell it. Maybe not.
I'll tell you later.
What's that?
I'll tell you later.
All right, yeah, tell me off air. But so you have a lot of exciting career highlights. There's a lot of the television work. I mean, now looking back, obviously the best is ahead, and you're working as a producer now, so there's some exciting moments in your future. But do you look back and go, fuck, my top 3 moments that were the most fun were 1, 2, and 3, and what are they?
Wow. Well, I really loved working on That Thing You Do. That was pretty epic.
Yeah.
especially because it came on the heels of Renegade, which was phenomenal and such a great, you know, it
How
was
was
a
Tom?
lot of work, but it was also like the most emotional thing I ever had to go through while I was working.
Was
Because,
it?
well, Lorenzo and I were married when we started the show. And halfway through the second season, we went through a divorce. And then I worked for 2.5 more seasons. So do the math. I mean, that's just a lot of days where you're dealing with your ex and watching your ex go out with other people. And I mean, it was just, yeah, it was Shakespearean. It was the play within the play for me. So that was, and then I finally got fired because I went on Howard Stern and talked about the truth. And that did not go over well with
What was the truth?
that Lorenzo was putting up Polaroid photos of Shauna, his current fiance, from her Playboy shoot in the makeup trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just really bizarre to me and to everybody else. It was joyful for all the crew because all of a sudden you had like every person from electrical, grip, and lighting department in the makeup trailer checking out these Polaroids, and but we had guest cast, and it was just bizarre. There was just some things that were really inappropriate and insensitive. And because I had been waiting for like 6 hours to go on to the Howard Stern show that night, and I finally went on at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was dead tired, so my filter was just gone. So, with an interviewer like that who's really savvy on just making you fodder for the feast, if you try to skirt out of it, it's going to make it worse. So for me, I was just like honest, answer an honest question with an honest answer. It was funny. I mean, maybe, but for some reason, everybody on the crew decided to tune in that morning on the way to work. And I had to drive back to San Diego that morning because I was working on the show, and it was
Right.
not pretty.
Was it on the day that the termination came down?
Yeah. Well,
mid-episode, or?
We finished that episode, and I got a call to go in to talk to Perry Huseman. Actually, was the running producer at that time, and I just said, without him having to do it, I go, "Am I getting fired?" And he's like, "Oh, thanks for making me not have to say it."
Oh man, the drama.
But right on the heels of that, I got a phone call from Tom Hanks saying, "Do you want to be in my movie?" So that was pretty neat.
That is good. That's a great bounce back.
Yeah, it was a solid bounce back.
And Hanks is a director?
He was the right director. Yeah, his first time ever.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy had been directed by the greats, so he had all kinds of tools in his toolbox, but it was a passion project for him, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes. And it was a great film. People love this film, and I think it's really cute film, and proud to be in it. And it's not one of those things where I'm a main character or anything. And I did have some scenes that got cut, unfortunately, but
hey, he hired the right person. Now give me a moment with Hanks as a director trying to like direct you.
Oh my God. So there was this moment where I have the scene with Tom Everett Scott, and that was the scene that got cut, actually. And as I deliver him, he's like, I'm trying to remember the line. He goes, "Oh, you're the secretary." And I go, "I'm the secretary to the asshole," which was Kevin Pollak. And on that, I kind of turn and walk out. And because it's period costume, so everything's like super pencil skirt and really, really tight. And as I walk away, Tom goes, "Can I get some fries with that shake?"
Oh, man. Nothing's changed since his bosom buddy days. I can see this. Still the same kid, man, from Family Ties. Remember when he made that guest appearance?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, can I ask about Kevin Pollak? How was he to work with?
Oh, no, he was great. The Fantastic. Well, Tom, I got to go to what was that movie that he made about the astronauts? The Houston
Yeah, Apollo 13, right?
Apollo 13. Yes, thank you. And I was at that premiere, and he's friends with Kevin Pollak, and he was like, "Oh, Kevin, stand next to Kathleen, get a picture with her." So we got a picture together, and he just thought it was the greatest thing because the height difference is just
Yeah.
severe. It's already just like a sight gag. So that was basically my audition, I think. And Kevin was really funny and welcoming, and he didn't seem to feel intimidated by it or anything. And then when we were actually doing the shoot, because I was just Koss's secretary. That was my character name. And he said, let's call her Abby. So he goes, "Come on, Abby, give me the rub, give me the rub." Because my hair was up and I looked a lot like my mom. So he knew that my mom was Abby Dalton. So he paid homage to her with my character just right in that moment by giving me a character name. So I thought
That's a good thing to do, right? That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even though it may not be credited that way, it made it personal for us in the moment.
Yeah.
And it actually, it gave me like a real, before where I was looking at what the text was for the script, is that I could have thought that he was really an asshole, but because in that moment he gave me a name, it kind of gave him a likability factor with me. So it was like, not that much of an asshole.
Right. It's the little things, right? It's the human touch. I mean, Pollock wrote one of the all-time great biographies, autobiographies, I guess. He wrote a great book in any event. It's called How I Slept My Way to the Middle, and it's one of my favorites because he just worked with we had so many people in common. I read it, but his outlook was so lucky to be here that he's one of those guys you root for when you read the book. It's like what am I doing here standing with Bruce Willis and Jonathan Lynn, my buddy, the director who did Clue, he did whole 9 yards with him. And that's the part I really wanted to read because I know something about the shoot. But he wrote a great book. We're not here to plug his book. Just a little footnote to the conversation here. We're here to plug the upcoming biography, I Should Have Been Nicer to Quentin Tarantino, which will be available sometime in 2026.
Oh, it's available.
It's available now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I released it in 2020.
Oh, wait, what? I thought this was upcoming.
No, it's on Amazon. It's on, I even did the Audible.
Fuck, you got some nerve. You got some nerve making me. Now I'm going to have. All right, so we'll listen to the book is available.
2020 sucked for releasing anything. So yeah, it's fresh. It's a brand new thing.
Oh, for some reason I thought that was still coming at us. Well, the sequel's still coming at us.
Right. Yeah.
Which is maybe I shouldn't have been so nice to Quentin Tarantino.
No, I think the sequel is going to be Nobody Asks the Baby. Nobody ever asks the baby. That's what it is. Nobody.
That's good. That's good. What are you going to do this week that's fun? I was about to ask you what's next, but that would put me in the same category as these other assholes we talked about earlier. So let's just say, what are you going to do this week that's fun? Like what's on the... Oh, wait. I can't... Okay, so there's a moment you showed me when we were doing the signing for the Red Cross. Dodger Stadium, Vin Scully's calling the game. You and Loken are actually sitting there together. Foul ball comes your way, you catch it, but Vin Scully narrates it, right? He called it, and you've got video of this.
Oh, yes. It's on YouTube. You can type in Kathleen Kinmont foul ball catch on YouTube, and it's a brilliant everything. It's just so perfect. Yeah, thank God for Spectrum and all the great operators over there. They've got so many wonderful camera angles and
yeah, well, you're definitely cheering. When you make the catch, what are the people around you saying?
Well, oddly enough, it had just downpoured. Some crazy ass downpouring in LA at Dodger Stadium that rarely ever happens. Yeah. And of course, because it's so rare, everyone in Los Angeles feels like they're going to melt or something if rain hits them. So they jet inside because we're on first in the front row between home plate and third. And these are tickets that belong to my friend Miranda and her family. And she was there, and Lisa and myself and Kristana. So I said to the girls, if the players aren't going in, we are not going in. If the players leave the field, that's when we go in.
Mm-hmm.
So joyfully, I had nobody to compete with me on this ball because usually what happens or has happened is I've gotten, hit in the back of the head or whatever, pushed forward because people are trying to get the ball 3 seats back, right? People see a ball coming and they just lose all sense of space and personal, So when you watch the shot, you'll see everything's covered in water because it just rained and everybody split. So I also said to the girls, if a ball comes our way, we're going to catch the player, not the ball, because we don't want to be that nationally televised idiot that disrupts a play.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually bring my mitt just as a safety precaution, not because I think that I'm ever going to catch anything, but because I think I'm going to save one of my friends in the temple because they were drinking red wine when a lefty was up hitting some screamer over into our seats. So I've been just, I'm like safety patrol. I'm not like looking to be the hero and anyway. So I left my mitt, of course, twice, once in the car and then once. So I couldn't get the mitt, but my friend said, well, you have your hat. You've caught balls in your hat several times. I've seen you do this because sometimes they'll throw balls and I'm like, I've got the longest reach of any female I know. So I was like, all right. But I felt like Marty Feldman in this moment. My eyeballs were going in 2 different directions. I was watching the ball and keeping an eye on Justin Turner at the same time. And he didn't move. He didn't move at all. So I knew he's not moving. This is mine. So I just took the hat off and it just happened to land in the space past the ledge. Because if it hit the ledge, it would have hit my ball and bounced out. Hit the, So it was just perfect. And, the first thing I did was look up to see if Vin Scully saw it.
You saw Vin? You could see him?
Oh, I looked straight up at him. I was like, yeah. Because he's just like right over here. And I mean, so that was the goal. I mean, like if Vin Scully gets to watch this. Now, what's really amazing, Ethan? We're going to circle so far back to the beginning of this conversation. When I have looked myself up on IMDb on the Joey Bishop show, Vin Scully's name is right above mine. He was also on the Joey Bishop show. In fact, Joey was a big baseball nut, so they had several Dodgers on the show. But Vin Scully was on the Joey Bishop show.
Awesome.
IMDb credits, our names are right next to each other. And my mom had the biggest craving for Cracker Jack while she was pregnant with me. And whenever they would hear the game come on, she would make my dad find someplace where she could eat Cracker Jack and listen to the game on the radio because it just triggered something so deeply in her. So the Dodgers are definitely in my DNA from Vin Scully on, and this is my hometown, and I love this team with all my heart, and just baseball is a very romantic game because it's just so long and arduous. But when something happens, it's like this, and it really reminds me of being on set. It's such a long game, and by the way, that particular game that I caught the ball in, it went into extra innings, 16 innings, as a matter of fact. And one of my friends, the Lisa friend, she had just had some chemo that day because she's been going through cancer treatment. So we couldn't stay for the whole game, but we listened to it. And Vin Scully, he did the commentary on that entire game. And I think that was when he was like, you know what? Retirement's kind of starting to look pretty good.
Maybe. However, so few of us have an epic moment like that in baseball lore where you catch a foul ball. Vince Scully not only narrates the catch, but you share a credit with him from the Joey Bishop. What is going on here?
I don't know. I think I'm going to get drafted to the Dodgers. I might be the next like sideline foul ball girl.
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
I mean, honestly, you could probably put a call in and say, look, let's do a thing where it's like the celebrity foul ball. Like, what do you call those guys out there? That'd be great. That'd be funny. They can do a little Dodger spinoff show on it.
You know, they have Make-A-Wish Foundation for, some different types of situations. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've won the lottery so many times. I just feel like it's time to get back.
Yes. And we're glad you've got the character content you do, because you will be giving back with us November 21st at the Saban Theater. Not only Kathleen Kinmont, Paul Reiser, Ron Perlman, Robert Carradine, Adrian Paul, and a bunch of other regulars. Jeanette Goldstein from Aliens. Bob Bergen, the voice of Porky Pig. A ton of your favorites will take the stage in defense of children battling NMOSD with a live audience, many children going through treatment in the crowd. And of course, it's a Hall of Fame moment for many of us. And it only gets better with the addition of Kathleen and Kristana. It looks even better opportunity to actually do some good. So maybe we'll have to somehow, the script is kind of updated every year by a couple Emmy-winning writers. And I'm trying to think, how do we work a baseball foul ball analogy into Scrooge for you? I'll have to get into the writer's room, because we always try to draw like current parallels with people. So there's a lot of in-jokes. How do we do it? But you're the producer. Maybe you've got the idea. Anyway, I want to thank you for your time. You're really good about these things, and we know you to be an absolute hero. We met doing a signing for the Red Cross, and you were a fan favorite that day, rightfully so, and for all the right reasons. So, for legend Kathleen Kinmont, author, producer, actress, I'm Ethan Dettenmaier. My last word goes to you. What do you got?
Oh, God bless you, Ethan. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, you choked me up a little bit. Be kind, everyone.
Yeah. Be kind. The world definitely needs it now more than ever. We'll catch you next time.
Hi there, everybody. Voice actor Roger Craig Smith here to talk to you about NMOSD. It can paralyze you, it can blind you, it can even kill you in a matter of minutes, but we are very close to a cure. And with that cure could come a cure for cancer. So please go to the Guthrie Jackson Foundation and donate today. Appreciate it.